There's a specific feeling you get when you first walk out onto the balcony of the Royal Palm Resort. The sun is hitting the water, the music is playing, and everything looks perfect. Too perfect. But if you spend any time actually running for your life through those bungalows, you start to see the cracks. Honestly, Banoi was a disaster waiting to happen. It wasn't just bad luck or a random virus that ruined the vacation. The whole place was a death trap from the second they broke ground. It's a resort built for people who want to pretend the rest of the world doesn't exist, and in the end, that's exactly what killed them. Today I want to talk about why the Banoi Resort was fundamentally doomed, and why paradise is actually the worst place to be when the world ends. Let's start with the geography, because it's honestly terrifying if you think about it for more than 5 seconds. The Royal Palm is marketed as the ultimate escape. Get away from everything. Cool. But getting away from everything also means you're getting away from hospitals, police, and any hope of a quick evaluation. Banoi is way out in the Oceanian region. You can't just drive to the next town over if things go south. You're stuck on an island with limited ways off, and most of those are controlled by a tiny private airstrip. Once the infection hit the fan, that isolation turned the resort into a meat grinder. There was no plan B. The guests were essentially paying thousands of dollars to be trapped in a gilded cage with no key. When the supply ships stopped coming, the resort didn't just have a zombie problem. It had a "we are going to starve or die of thirst" problem. And can we talk about the buildings? I love the aesthetic, but the Royal Palm is an agricultural nightmare for a quarantine. Everything is open air. It's all glass walls, thatched roofs, and those breezy interconnecting balconies that look great in a brochure but are a death sentence in a zombie outbreak. There's no way to secure the place. You are in a fortress. You're in a gazebo. Most of the hotel rooms have sliding glass doors that a toddler could break, let alone a 6-foot tall undead lifeguard. The staff were trained to hand out towels and mix drinks, not handle a biohazard. By the time the security teams, who were basically just there to keep the riffraff out, realized they were dealing with something real, the open concept layout had already let the virus sweep through the entire guest list. You can't barricade a place that's designed to be one with nature. Then there's the human element, which is probably the most frustrating part. The people at this resort, they weren't exactly survival material. We're talking about socialites, rappers, and wealthy tourists who are literally too entitled to realize they're in danger. Look at the opening schematic. You got people partying while someone is being eaten 10 feet away because they think it's part of the show. That level of hubris is what allowed the virus to explode in the first place. Behind the scenes, you got the Consortium, the corporate ghouls who were using this island as a playground for illegal experiments. They didn't care about the tourists. They treated Banoi as a disposable lab. They pushed the locals into the slums of Moresby, created this massive social divide, and then acted surprised when the whole thing burned down. The resort was built on exploitation, so it's no surprise that the people in charge abandoned ship the second things got messy. Last thing, the environment itself. People forget that the resort is just a tiny manicured strip of land surrounded by a literal jungle. And the Banoi jungle is mean, it's humid, it's dense, and it's full of stuff that wants to kill you. When the resort fell, there was nowhere to go. You couldn't just run into the woods and live off the land. The geography funnels everyone into those tiny bottlenecks like the lighthouse or the lifeguard towers. You're pinned between an ocean you can't swim across and a jungle you can't survive in. The resort was a bubble, and once that bubble's popped, there was nothing left but a lot of very expensive, very useless luxury. So was Banoi doomed? Absolutely. It was a fragile, beautiful lie. It was built by people who thought money could buy safety from nature and populated by people who forgot what real danger looks like. The zombies were just the final act of play that was already a tragedy.